don't know about you, but a fella could do a lot worse in Constellation. Late at night in dive bars, sometimes the old-timers share stories about things they've seen that they just couldn't explain. Ghost stories, if you will. I've heard of things like the Starborn before. But they're real. Honest to God real. But you carry on for centuries of exploration, and you can fool yourself into thinking you got it all figured out. Clearly we don't. So the obvious question is, what the hell are they? Everyone's gonna be thinking aliens, but maybe not. Their ships were incredible, but they still felt like ships. They had engines, weapons, I think I even made out a grav drive. If they were really alien, I would just expect it to be more alien, you know? I mean, it could be some secret Freestar Varun or UC tech. But I don't know. I mean, anything's possible. But if someone, anyone, had that much of an edge on the others, the whole balance of power would shift, right? It'd be one hell of a conspiracy to keep it quiet. An even greater amount of restraint to keep it in your back pocket. Exactly. I'm gonna throw out another wild stab-in-the-dark theory. Maybe they're from outside our known systems. Here's the hypothetical. Centuries ago, some brainiac scientists decide to play settler. But they go way, way beyond any place we've ever been to set up stakes. Once they get there, they make a few lucky breakthroughs, and their science just snowballs from there. I could see them getting further, faster, and hence become the Starborn. If I got it right, then you owe me a steak dinner. One way or the other, we are not alone. And that's both exciting and terrifying. I'm up for it. It's about time. I missed the company.
Sam, you two better have some good adventures to tell me about later on.
Adventure is my middle name. Well, not really, but now I kind of wish it was.
Is something amiss?
Never would I have imagined to encounter something like the Starborn. Now I feel that rather than having answers, we only have more questions. I suppose this proves that idea succinctly. Regardless of how impossible they may have seemed before now, I must say that I do not like being threatened by anyone. If so, what would that be? Clearly, the Starborn are connected to the artifacts, which would mean that they are also connected to that temple you found. Did they make these things? Have they appropriated them? This all implies there is something more, something we do not yet understand. You are right. And it would seem that if we do, we may well cross paths with these Starborn again. We will need to be on our guard from now on. They seem to know much about us. Perhaps we can learn more about them to make it even. We should return to our search then. There's still so much to do.
Take note. Everyone here is worth learning from. Yes, even the kid. We're most well known for ship manufacture. No expense spared. If you want the best and can afford it, you choose Stroud-Eklund. Unfortunately, our success means you'll sometimes see Stroud-Eklund ship modules on less than reputable vessels. They covet them. The bastards. I've tried to convince the United Colonies we can help in that regard, but they're married to Deimos Star Yards, and those old salts are stuck in the glory days. Not my first time in a hostile negotiation, as you well know. Admittedly, I usually know more about who I'm facing off against. I'm very interested in what Noel can learn from the scans. The technology on that ship was impressive, to say the least. If there's a chance, we could learn enough to duplicate some of it. That's certainly true. And it also wouldn't hurt to give Stroud Eklund an advantage in the marketplace. Oh, right. I was afraid you were going to bring that up again. Very well. Let's see if I embarrass myself or not. My colleagues, I venture out into the darkness of space once again. Many of you have expressed concern. At my age, you say, surely the risks are too great. Surely Sebastian Banks has earned a rest. Nonsense, I say. To go out into the unknown, to brave the possibility of never coming back, to ignite the spark of hope that humanity will find answers out there in the stars, that is all I have ever wanted. If this last expedition is my time, then I say, I have been fortunate. I have been fortunate to leave surrounded by people who could not be more different from one another, but who share a common purpose. That, dare I say, I am fortunate my soul has a home it can always come back to. And that was the last thing Sebastian Banks ever said in the lodge before he disappeared. And Constellation has been waiting for him to come home ever since. Oh, no. You have any idea how much of my time gets wasted by people who start conversations with that line? All right, let's get it over with. What amazing situation have you discovered that I can't possibly afford to pass up? It's not poison, right? Wouldn't be the first time someone tried it. I'm kidding. I don't really think it's poison. That has happened, though. All right. Simple and definitive. I like that. If it were anyone else, I might be inclined to nod politely, express some vague enthusiasm, and suggest setting up a meeting that never happens. But I think you and I have been through enough that I'll trust you and take a chance on this. All right, here's what you're going to do. Go pay a visit to my lovely wife in Neon and tell her I said I've been thinking about rereading Jules Verne. You do that, and we'll get the necessary paperwork underway. I want you to know I was very impressed with your work back on Neon. I'm beginning to wonder if there's anything you can't handle. I'd like to test that theory. My Star Yard's been having a little trouble getting our next project off the ground. I need someone capable and decisive to step in and steer it in the right direction. Interested? As you know, I'm a busy man, running a company, helping to manage Constellation's financial needs. It doesn't leave me with much time to get into the weeds with every little business venture that comes my way. Besides, think of this as a rare opportunity to help shape the future of a major consumer brand. Of course, now that I know you're interested. It's a new ship. We want to diversify our fleet. Now, I don't know why the people I pay very handsomely to come up with new designs can't seem to get out of the R&D phase. And frankly, I don't care. I just want someone, you, to go there and show them how it's done. R&D needs to happen first whenever work starts on a new project. It's a natural stalling point since we need to make so many big decisions. In this case, we're talking about looking at our existing fleet of ships and using data we've gathered to see what consumers want. But of course, each member of the R&D team can interpret that data to suit their own confirmation bias. I'm guessing that's what we're seeing here. To be honest, I prefer it. I have professional designers, and obviously they can't do the job. They're floundering. And as I've seen firsthand, you dabble in all spectrums. Blue-collar work, exploration, fighting. I could go on. What better person to tell those overpaid muckety-mucks how to build a ship for the discerning consumer? Excellent. I'll send word ahead to the project lead, Jules Degante, that you're taking point. They'll all be instructed to listen to you and follow your direction. I expect big things from you, so I'm excited to see what you manage to deliver. I don't believe you'll let me down.
Keep both. Burning helium across the far reaches is dangerous work. Would have told you to gear up even before we knew we had competition. Find myself thinking of the fleet. You know you can take a mark. You don't open comms. It's all storm and fire and sifting the wreckage after it's over. But if you're not so sure, you play the bully's gambit. Hope they don't challenge the threats you throw at them. Sound familiar? Thoughts taking a stroll through my mind is all. A striker lurking in the shadows has good reason to hide. Won't be easy to drag them into the light.
Have you talked to Vladimir recently? Face to face, I mean?
Haven't gone up there recently. Is everything okay?
Oh, I just don't know how he does it. Up there all alone for so long.
Some people love that kind of space. Pun intended. We've
Feel free
always
to help
considered
yourself at
ourselves
the bar.
explorers.
I don't drink,
This really
but
is
I feel
uncharted
like if I
territory,
did,
isn't it?
now would be a good time. I feel like I've been waiting my whole life for this. Constellation, the artifacts. That doesn't sound crazy, does it? There's certainly precedent, isn't there? We've been operating for a while now on the fringes of what humans, know and understand. Why rule anything out? I just think we should be open-minded, keep everything on the table. I did say it was a metaphor, didn't I? Never meant it to be taken completely literally, but you never know. Maybe they appeared in a form we're familiar with. It's the argument I have with Walter every other week. Science and reason have their place, but so does faith. We have all of them at our disposal, and I don't for 1 second believe they're mutually exclusive. Take care of yourself.
I am at your service, Cap. I hope you are satisfied with the quarters available to you. Although my database of human history is not fully complete, it is quite extensive. At this time, I am unable to locate any valid references. Given the unusual nature of the encounter, it is reasonable to surmise that any earlier occasions would have been documented. One explanation is that this is the first time they have been discovered. An alternate explanation is that prior encounters resulted in 0 survivors to document the experience. I detect a discrepancy between your words and tone, commonly known as sarcasm, one of Barrett's frequent choices in communication. If this analysis is in error, please let me know, and I will update my database.
It's time you tried a Stroud Eklund.
So how much of a thrill has it been traveling with the one and only last descendant of the great Solomon Coe? Is it everything you imagined? Ain't you ever heard of sarcasm, friend? Okay, so how's it traveling with one of the great Coes? That better? Well, that's a first. I gotta say, it's a relief being with you. So many people hear Coe and they expect me to pull some miracle out of a hat. Time has a way of just building on itself. Solomon was a good man. Great one, even. But if he ever heard all the bullshit being talked about him these days, he'd flat out deck him. I am. And I'm not. Yeah, there was a time, well before Cora, where it really weighed on me. Felt like every little thing I did or didn't do was a reflection on our great legacy. It's enough to drive you crazy. Now I just hope I can help Cora to... I don't know. Well then, Cora's gonna get a 5-star university education from me. For my father, Cora, and me, everything starts and ends with Solomon Coe. He looked out at the stars, and he dreamed a way to get there. Imagine being the first person to jump into a new system, set foot on a new world. Well, I get it. That's powerful stuff. And now... I'm just getting sappy. You're a bad influence, you know that? That's what I like about you. Well, I hope the comic book they make about our adventures is better than that rag on Solomon. The stuff they publish is just downright embarrassing. Sorry, I plain forgot what I wanted to talk with you about. That girl. If Cora leaves her tools out one more time... I mean, I love her more than life itself, but I can only say the same damn thing so many times. That's Cora to a T. I mean, this is between me and you, but Cora wasn't exactly planned. I don't know if I mentioned, but I served a spell in the Freestar Rangers. Had a partner, Lillian Hartz. Well, we were like fire and ice, but, well, it wasn't all bad. Well, it wasn't by choice. It was a lousy fit. Maybe someday I'll get into it. I'm just happy I found Constellation. Best damn organization in the settled systems, you ask me. It wasn't always like it is now. Hell, when Cora was born, I was completely out of my depth. For the first few months, I kept thinking, what a colossal mistake I made. Me, a father. But one late night, early morning, whatever, little Cora gave me my first smile. And I knew I'd do anything for that girl. Well, Mrs. Lillian Coe was right there with me. And as bad as I had it with nursing at all hours, I know I had it comparatively easy. But that don't mean those first few months were good by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, sure don't feel like it. And it's something you said to me. About parents wanting children to learn from their mistakes. Now that Cora's getting older, that's what haunts me. I've done things I'm not proud of. I said things even worse. I try to be better for Cora, but is she gonna fall into the same traps? Well, it's bad enough. Let me put it that way. Well, ain't that a drop of sunshine? I know it seems crazy, towing her across the stars, but I'm not exactly swimming with options here. Her mother... Like I said, another story, another time. And what, have her raised by Jacob, my dad? I'd sooner ship her off to Vladimir. I'll think about it. But for now, she's happy. You know, she just goes on and on about you. And if she just learned to pick up after herself, she just might live until she's 13.
We have not yet had a moment to talk about what happened to you at that place. Temple? I am not sure what to call it. In all my time amongst the stars, I have never heard of such a thing. What do you think that place was? Then it seems fitting that you were the one to discover it. Certainly it is too soon to speculate about who built it, but... how can we not? After what you experienced, do you have any insights? It is hard to argue, but the implications... I am sorry. After what you have been through, I should be asking about you. Are you all right? Have you felt any side effects? Yes, I meant apart from that. I am still trying to comprehend that on its own. The artifacts, that temple, this new ability you have acquired, clearly they are all connected. This is all so much bigger than we realized. Yes, you are right. And if we continue to work together, perhaps we can start to explain some of this. Now we have even greater reason to press more about what is at work here.
Yes? Now that we have a moment, I wanted to ask how you're feeling. After your experience at the temple, you've given everyone at the lodge quite a scare. Maybe another time. Now that we have a moment, I wanted to ask how you're feeling. After your experience at the temple, you've given everyone at the lodge quite a scare. That's a very reasonable answer. According to what I've heard, your body absorbed an almost unquantifiable amount of energy of a type we can't even begin to understand. We're dealing with something unknown to modern science. Who knows how this encounter has affected your body or your mind? I know you're simply trying to brush this off with humor, but you really should act more concerned. That temple proves we're dealing with entities of unknown origin. The problem is that we can't even begin to guess what their intention was towards us and where they've gone. Perhaps. It's just that... Oh, I'm afraid that we're flying almost completely blind here. All we know for certain at this point is that whoever created the artifacts are the same beings that built the temple. Anything else is just guesswork. I might as well put on a blindfold and toss darts at theories written on the wall. As far as Constellation's concerned, you're the first human we're aware of that's ever encountered one of these places. Now, whether you consider that lucky or not, that's another matter entirely. Oh, believe me, this is positively exhilarating. Think about the significance of this research. The questions it raises alone are mind-boggling. Who was this wondrous structure built to accommodate? How long ago did these entities inhabit our universe? Are they still out there, somewhere? Perhaps. We'll need more data to be sure. It's funny. I used to think the artifacts were the end-all be-all of scientific discovery, the pinnacle mystery of our time. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine it would lead to something of this magnitude. I just hope that you'll come through this, whatever it is, unharmed. Well, yeah, yes, of course you are. I was speaking of the power you've acquired. This is all scientifically speaking, of course. Look, I've already taken up too much of your time. All I can do is promise that I'm not going to make you deal with this mystery alone. Whatever might be happening, I'll be right here to help you every step of the way.